Monday morning, and officers in Britain's largest police force are getting away with breaking the law and committing misconduct, and hundreds of them should be sacked.
That is the conclusion of a new report, which also found the Metropolitan Police internal disciplinary system is racist and misogynist.
Met Police Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley said that he is appalled by the findings. Here's our special correspondent Lucy Manning.
How could a police officer kidnap, rape and kill? It was Sarah Everard's murder by Metropolitan Police Officer Wayne Couzens that shocked the country, that made people ask, how could the police be trusted? In the aftermath of Sarah Everard's murder, Baroness Louise Casey was asked to investigate the Met. Can it police its own? The answer is no. She found misconduct cases take too long to resolve, on average more than a year. Nearly 60% of cases end without any action taken, especially sexual misconduct and discrimination allegations. There is systemic racial bias, with black and Asian officers more likely to be accused of misconduct. Too few officers who should be removed for gross misconduct have been, and officers with repeated patterns of unacceptable behaviour aren't identified.
I have found in their internal misconduct system that it's not good enough, it's not quick enough, and it has racial disparity. And the force needs to accept that. The whole force needs to accept it. They mustn't deny it, and they mustn't look to find that, I've somehow got my homework wrong.
The new Metropolitan Police Commissioner says he's appalled and angry, but it's clear these issues aren't new.
I'm so angry about how we've let so many people down. Just what you read about what women and non-white officers are suffering in the organisation, it's disgraceful, our feebleness in our response to that. And I apologise to them that we've let them down so badly, and I apologise to the public for what that means for them as well.
When two police officers take photos with the dead bodies of murdered sisters Nicole Smallman and Bieber Henry, then share them with colleagues. When police officers mainly based at Charing Cross Police Station send messages that joke about rape, domestic violence and racism, it's clear failing to deal internally with dangerous officers has put the people they serve, the public, at risk. Lucy Manning, BBC News.
Well, as we've just heard in that report, 2 Met police officers were jailed after sharing photographs of those sisters, Bieber and Nicole, following their murders. Nicole Smallman and Bieber Henry's mum, Mina Smallman, joins us now live on Breakfast. Mina, thank you so much for joining us. We don't underestimate how difficult it must be to go public at times like this, but I know you feel very strongly that you want to get your message out. Having been through what you've been through, what do you make of this report this morning?
Well, one of the things that the report says is that none of these items are new. They've been known about and they've not been handled. That's why it's been allowed to escalate to the level of, 40-odd police officers on the WhatsApp group that the photographs of our girls were on. But also Wayne Couzens, he had exposed himself twice, and I've said over and over again, I want to know who it was that spoke to him. And I think people think that's a rhetorical question. It isn't. Who was it that said you can carry on working? It's those kind of acts that accelerate and enable misconduct. And I feel terrible for Sarah's family today to hear that that person could have been stopped in his tracks if there wasn't this kind of, we'll let it slide because you're one of us.
Mina, your daughters were killed in 2020, the most unimaginable loss for people who are probably sitting at home watching you this morning.
Yeah.
To have to go through that, to survive that, and now to read the information that we now have about what has been going on and what was going on at the time. How did you feel when you read the parts of this report that you know about already? How was that for you?
It was affirming. I hope I've tried to be measured. I hope I've spoken about the aspects of the police and our story that were amazing, but actually the level of the corruption we've known for some time. You know, the Macpherson report, there is nothing new that's come out of here. What's happened this time is the report has just told uncomfortable truths, and it has to be dealt with. And sadly, my experience has enabled me to be able to research and find out just how prevalent this behaviour is. And currently the IOPC is holding on to several very disturbing incidents that have been investigated. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. You know, the statute of limitation needs to be changed for these cases to be dealt with how they should have been dealt with in the first place. At the moment, the disciplinary procedure is done in-house. There needs to be a different system in place, including vetting. And if we're going to have a mass exodus of the rod, I'm really pleased about that. But we're going to need to ensure that who they're replaced with are good people who want to be part of a force to protect us from the bad people.
You said a mass exodus. That's because the new commissioner of the Met Police, Mark Rowley, has reacted to this report today. He says he will remove hundreds of officers, if necessary, from the force. He's apologised. He admits that the Met has let people like you down. What do you make of that statement from him? Does that go far enough?
You know, words are great, but deeds will be even more. That's what we need. Apologies, I think I've said on record, you know, I don't want your sorries. I want you to change. And, you know, I speak to people, and someone yesterday said to me, you know, now that we're hearing this, how are we ever going to trust the police? You know, and I have to believe, and I want to believe, and I believe it's true, that most people who join the police force are good people, but they're being undermined. And if you think about all the risk takers, the Black and Asian police officers who joined in good faith to want to change the system from the inside, some of them didn't even get past training. Some of them were to get rid of them. If they did something wrong, their comrades would out them straight away. And some of it isn't even correct. So I have to believe that Mark Rowley has come in to do this. He didn't have to, let's face it. This job and the Prime Minister's and it's the poison chalice, isn't it? You've got to want to do this because I'm hoping he's thinking, you know, this is a force I love and respect, and I'm sick of what's happening.
And Mina, I think a lot of people will appreciate what you're saying this morning, that, you know, words are one thing, but you're looking for action. What is the action that you would like?
I want the statute of limitations taken out so that they can prosecute these officers. I don't want disciplinary to be done in-house. I think they need to have a pool of ex-professionals who are worked in law and you know, public services to be on the panel, and they just rotate. The police don't get to choose them. They say, right, we'll do this one. And also we want the IOPC to have real powers to do their job, not have to wait for the Met to say, yes, you can let that one go now, so that they can get their ducks all lined up. No, it's time. It's time now for change, and we need that, because when we're in trouble, the only people we can call are the police. And if you're not sure that they're going to be honest and true, we're all left in a terrible state.
Mina, just finally, you said that people have said to you just in the last few days, you know, how can we trust the police after the events of the last few years? How much trust do you have personally in the police after everything you've been through?
I go back to the family liaison person who was of the police force and the team that worked on the murder trial. They were amazing. And so I've seen, if you like, I've seen the full spectrum. And I grew up in the 70s and I knew that, we all knew that young black men under sus were being picked up and battered senseless. We need to stop this. We really need to accept that there is misogyny, racism, homophobia in every institution, but it cannot thrive in the police. We just can't have that.
Mina, thank you very much indeed for talking to us this morning. That is Mina Smallman talking to us from our London